I'm making this video in response to a video by Gothatfunk, good friend of mine, Gothatfunk. Whatever you wish to call him. He recently put out a video entitled Humor or Cruelty, where he described a few different instances or events and wanted you to decide whether it was funny or cruel. The first story that he brought up was a story of his own childhood where he had to take a shit in the woods. His grandpa said, "Wipe your ass with these," handing him some leaves. And he wiped his ass with the leaves, and then lo and behold, a few days later, he had a terrible rash all over the back of his balls and his asshole and everywhere else where the leaves came anywhere near touching, because the leaves that his grandpa gave him were a poison oak. And his grandpa says, now the boy will know better, and he'll know what the poison oak is dangerous, and that's the lesson I was teaching him. And he was laughing his ass off, and he thought it was really funny. And he wondered if we thought that was humorous or cruel. Now, I have a few questions about that, because honestly, how much time had your grandfather spent showing you poison oak and telling you not to touch poison oak before that incident? Because I think that's key. If your grandpa had never spent any time with you explaining poison oak, showing you poison oak, trying to get it through your head not to touch poison oak, that might be a little bit different. If he had just been spending that whole week showing you poison oak and telling you do not touch poison oak, and then handed you those leaves and you wiped your ass anyway, I think obviously you needed to learn that lesson. Now, if he had never really spent that much time with you or only mentioned it once or twice, then no, that's cruel. The reason why it's cruel is because probably the worst thing you can do with poison oak is end up wiping your ass with it. The only other thing that's going to happen is maybe brush on your legs, or your dogs run through a thing of it and then you pet your dog and you have it on your hands, or whatever. Those types of things can occur. But that's like the worst thing. The only thing that's worse than that is if you go to blow your nose with poison oak and you and it gets in your eyes and your nose and your lung, in your mouth and your throat. Yeah, that's pretty bad. But pretty much one of the worst things that can happen is you end up wiping your ass with poison oak. So it seems to me like teaching someone a lesson by making them experience the worst thing that can happen involving that lesson is not a good way to teach. And overall, I'd say that was cruel. That was a cruel thing for your grandpa to do to you. Also in the video, he talks about an instance where this guy put up a video where he's blowing up a rubber glove and it's scaring a small child. Let me just say, I think that is also cruel, because sure, like maybe once or twice it might be funny, but to keep doing it over and over and over again and keep frightening her like that, it just goes past humorous and into the realm of cruelty. Now, this coming from a guy, I like to scare people. Not like, frighten them for, put something in their head that's going to frighten them for long periods of time or destroy long periods of their lives or ruin long periods of their life. But, you hide around behind a corner when someone least expects it, and you duck really fast around a corner, and then when they walk past, rah! That type of a scare. I think it's funny. I think it's humorous. But I also kind of wonder, why is that funny? The person is legitimately scared for a second. I don't know. Do you guys think that's cruel? Am I being cruel when I do that? Because this whole thing has caused me to examine my own actions and question certain things. And I don't know. I have my own story, kind of like Gothatfunk's. When I was a small child, and luckily I didn't actually fall for it. But when we were out camping one time, my Uncle Ron, what's up, Ron? One time he walks up to me and my brother and he hands us this little dried up little treat, and he says, "Hey guys, you guys want some beef jerky? It's delicious." And we were like, "Oh yeah, sure," and we grabbed it and we ran off with it, and we went to look at it and it looked weird, and there was something strange about it that just didn't seem right, but it looked like beef jerky pretty much. So, instead of biting into it, I went and asked my dad. We ran up to my dad and we asked him, "Hey, what's this? Uncle Ronnie gave us some jerky." And do you know what? But it looks kind of weird. And my dad started laughing out loud. He's like, "That's not jerky. That's elk shit. That is elk droppings. Just dried up elk droppings." And so, do you guys think that that was humorous, or do you think that that was cruel? What if we had eaten it? It's funny because years later, talking about it with my uncle Ronnie, we were saying, "Nah, that was just funny, ha 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 ha." But what if I had eaten it? Nothing bad could have happened. And then we started thinking about it. We're like, oh well, we could have gotten some weird parasite probably. Probably could have gotten terribly sick. So maybe perhaps there were consequences to it. But I mean, on the surface, I think that's hilarious. I don't know. What do you think?